Hello there, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses. This is Todd Hoffman and Trent Hoffman. You're listening to Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 117. Today, we're going to be talking about, you got it, Andor, season 1, chapters 1, 2, and 3, or episodes. I don't know. I can't remember how they labeled them, but we got 3 episodes on 9/21, and so we'll be talking about that in just a second. So again, hey, if you're listening to us, we appreciate you. We would love if you would follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Big T Little T. That's where you're going to find Little T most of the time. Sometimes it's hard with the podcasting schedule to get him on and me on at the same time. You know how it goes. But yeah, twitch.tv/Big T Little T. We're playing a ton of Fortnite. We just finished the last season, or actually chapter 3, and now we're on chapter 4 or something, or chapter 3, season 4. I think it's something like that. It's great. We're playing. We literally got to, I think, 213, 214 level for the last chapter, and now we had to start everything over, which is our first kind of change in the chapter. And so it's pretty cool, man. We're having a lot of fun. Everything's new, obviously, from a season perspective, so a lot of new little upgrades that they're doing. And so yeah, it's fun. We're having a great time, and so definitely check us out there. Yeah, Ellie's doing great, Trent's doing great. We're just having fun there, so definitely check us out. Again, twitch.tv/Big T Little T. We'd love a follow. It'd be great in join us as we play a lot of Fortnite. Trying to get some Madden in, and I definitely want to still get some Lego Star Wars in. I have to get back to that. Lots of great games coming up. We're super excited for Gotham Knight, which comes out October 25th, so that's going to be a blast as well. Trent and I are also having fun doing some flag football. We went our local church, Parkview. We are having so much fun there. We have a bunch of kids there, and it's been a great time. And so we got a couple more games that's kind of filling up our week a little bit, which is great. So we got, I think, 2 or 3 more games left, and so that's been a lot of fun. So we're doing that again this Saturday, and it's going to be great. But yeah, having fun doing that. Couple news items since we last talked, man. D23 happened, and we got a bunch of trailers. But, it's just weird. We didn't get a lot of dates. I mean, they showed us a Mando Season 3 trailer, but they didn't drop a date. They said spring of 2023. Come on. Get some stuff, and let's do some good stuff here and drive it home. So we got a lot of, but they just didn't drop a date. What the heck, man? Drop a date for us. Come on. So Carl Weathers tweeted the other day, possibly February 2023. So there you go. So we'll see what happens there. Bad Batch wasn't even seen at D23. What's going on? Not even on Disney Plus Day. So I'm not sure. It was originally scheduled for September. Obviously, it's very busy with Andor going all the way to November. So what is going on here? Again, this is looking possibly in the January time slot. I don't know if they got January for Bad Batch and then try to squeeze in Mando. I don't think they're going to overlap. So maybe Bad Batch right off the start in January, and then possibly then what if that's 12 or 16 episodes. We're looking like April, May for Mando there. Andor, we got another trailer. Didn't really need it, but hey, we'll take it. And so obviously now it's already here, but they did another little trailer for D23. And then Tales of the Jedi dropping at the end of October. So yes, we're going to get a new Andor episode and Tales of the Jedi. Again, Tales of the Jedi is going to be just like Visions, where they're going to probably drop a couple, I think there's 6 short videos or short shows there. This looks amazing. I'm so pumped for this. Yeah, Star Wars animation is amazing. You're missing out if you're not watching it. Tales of the Jedi is going to be dope. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. So yeah, a couple of news out there. It's just I'm constantly baffled by the way they market these things and all this kind of stuff. I just don't understand. Most of the beat stuff that we get is coming from, like the magazines like Vanity Fair, Variety, Deadspin. All these things are coming from those sources, and Lucasfilm barely does all this, publishing stuff. So it's just a weird kind of thing. But whatever, we got it. It's all good. It's fun. We're getting new Star Wars content, which is great. And so yeah, so let's get into our main topic here. Andor season one, chapters 1, 2, and 3, or episodes 1, 2, and 3. Wow, it was crazy. So let's just start off with like a little back history, just so we're all on the same page here. So there were some rumblings that this was going to happen in 2018 as far as live action, talking about that. And then there were some rumblings too, like this is, Rick Famuyiwa or Faumuyiwa. I don't know. I'm really bad with names. He's one of the directors that did some of the Mandalorian episodes, as well as one of the Book of Boba Fett's. They were talking about him directing a couple undisclosed, but that kind of fall through. And then finally, in about 2019, Tony Gilroy would be writing the pilot and series. So they already had Jared Bush, who wrote Moana, kind of writing this already, but then Tony Gilroy came in and like kind of took everything over and basically became his show, similar to Rogue One with Gareth Edwards. But essentially, they started filming this at the end of November of 2022 or 2020. And if you remember, again, another D23 way back when Diego and Alan Tudyk came out. Now, here's the real crutch of the thing. Alan is K2SU is not in this season one. So hopefully in season 2 we finally get K2. But yeah, it's already been kind of disclosed that Alan is, K2 is not in season 1. So kind of interesting that they bring out, Diego Luna and Alan, and he's not even in the film. Whatever. It's okay. It's all good. So, yeah. And so they finished up production September of 2021. So they went pretty much 9 months of filming, which is crazy. And now we're here a year later in 2022, and it's finally getting off the ground. So there's been a bunch of rumors too about multiple seasons with this. They finally kind of could say like, okay, we're going to do season 2, but we're going to do kind of big jumps, because Tony was like, we're going to be writing this for years. So take a little break. It's already, I think they're going to do the same cycle and basically start filming later this year. And yeah, and so the first trailer they dropped was obviously at Celebration, and it was announced August 31st, 2022. Then on August 1st, Diego was so kind enough to drop another official trailer on us and said, yeah, we're going to put you back 3 weeks. So I kind of get it now, because if you look at each of the episodes, especially 1 and 2, they just kind of end. They don't even like go to like a conclusion here. Part of that I like, but like, again, if you're telling a bigger story, you still want those episodes to like kind of end, and you kind of go crazy, obviously, if you're trying to wrap everything up in one little episode, which I felt like both Book of Boba and Obi-Wan have kind of that sitcom thing where it's like everything gets solved in this little episode. So I'm like on the fence of like it just kind of abruptly ends. Um, in some respects, I'm 1 and 2, and so it's like, okay, there's more story to have. So I was grateful that we got 3 here. So let's just kind of dive into each episode. So interesting way to, I think, to start a show and make it serious is that essentially, Cassian's on um, is basically like a brothel, and we get they're at Morlana 1. I believe that's what it is. And of course, we got the Rogue One titles back. Yeah. And they're bringing back BBY. Bold statement. Bold statement. If you have read recent literature like it's called The Star Wars Book. They changed it a couple times as far as what the end, what the nomenclature, if you will, of like how the series are written out. But they made a bold step right back to BBY. That's the Battle of Yavin, or before the Battle of Yavin, if you will, BBY. And so, yeah, that is pretty interesting. But essentially, we open up at this like brothel, and Cassian is looking for a girl. There's two other gentlemen there, and there's a little heat there, like, hey, we've been waiting a long time, stuff like that. And so he is looking for his sister. And so it's like, okay, got it. Because, and basically the girl that he's talking to is like, no one leaves their real name. There's no one here, and so he mentions, where she's from, and it's like, yeah, no one. Believe it's Canary or something like that, and yeah, like, nope, no one here. The two guys tail him. He gets in a little tussle with them. Does like a reverse headbutt on the other guy, gets him smashed down, and then basically when he gets both of them detained, he tells them, get up, and the one guy's dead. The other corporate guy's like, hey, yo, we can walk out together, and then Cassian kills him. Oh, boy. So, every decision has a consequence. That's what I kind of tell Trent, and that's one of the things that we see here in Andor, which is kind of cool, is that, again, he did this thing. It's okay, but not okay because you killed somebody and has consequences. So he goes to Ferrix, I believe it is, and we get to see not an astromech, maybe a ground mech or something like that, I believe. And we get B2 EMO, B2 EMO, and we get some Corellian hound dogs that we've seen in Solo, and they just look goofy and they're great. And the one guy tries to take a little tinkle, and we get a nice little droid shock, little taser thing. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So it's kind of a cool intro to Ferrix and just kind of seeing all that. Yeah, it's just so one of the things that we kind of go back to is the corporate center, corporate security, and we have I believe it's Surreal Karn. You see, it's gonna take me a while to get me all these names right. I'm horrible at names, but Surreal Karn is kind of like the deputy inspector, and we got this kind of like chief guy, and basically, did you read my report? And he's like, yeah, I read your report. Basically, I don't want anything to do with this thing because they shouldn't have been there on the clock, which is true. Let's just cover it up. And Surreal didn't like that. He's like, but I just wrote this report, and he's like, hey, listen, I gotta go to the corporate sector, and the less crime we have to report, the less we have the Empire down our throats and all that kind of stuff, which is interesting. We have Andor meeting up with Bix. So Bix is a former girlfriend, informant, got ties to kind of a trades dealer, and we see her fixing on engines. There's definitely a little history with them. We got this guy Tim with two M's. That's like the new boyfriend, and there's a little Wabani mentioned there, a little Easter egg. Wabani is the prison camp that Jin's at in Rogue One. So a little bit of that. There's a couple different like little just throughout this show, there's a couple little, that they said that Tony was like, I'm not doing Easter eggs, but there's a bunch in there. I mean, it's just a lived-in world. One of the things that I loved about Ferrex here is that it's just big. There's a lot of different things, a lot of nooks and crannies, a lot of different shots of, different shops and all this stuff. I just loved all of it. It was great. But you could tell like Cassian is, there's just a lot going on with Cassian, and he's trying to cover up like, hey, he got this thing, he got messed up on his face, and he's telling B2 like, hey, you never saw me. I was here the whole time and didn't travel anywhere, trying to cover up lies and stuff like that. And it's kind of hard keeping track of everything. And so then he runs to kind of this a friend or whatever, and he's like, hey, we were drinking together. I went back to your place to he's trying to like cover up his tracks as much as he can. But basically when he runs into Bix, he wants her to reach out to the informant because he's got to get out of here. He's got to get some cash, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's very interesting how this all kind of works. But then we get a little flashback of when there's a group of children kind of investigating. You see kind of like this, it's almost like Lord of Flies type thing where there's no adults and there's just a bunch of children, and they talk a different language, and he goes by Casa, I believe, is what his sister calls him. And there's a downed ship, a ship that crashes. Yeah, and so they kind of do this kind of war paint, and Casa wants to be part of this kind of party to go investigate that ship. So then, as the boss leaves, the corporate sector boss kind of leaves, Cyril is like, hey, let's check out the stuff. I got some leads. And so he's kind of with like this traffic reporter dude and sees this ship kind of with no transponder, and then he kind of gets a lead, and it's interesting that he basically is like trying to find out what we can do. He's basically trying to find this murderer in a sense, and he's trying to help him, trying to figure this out. I'm trying to think how it really ends. Oh, so he's fixing a ship, swapping logs, and basically it's a guy that's security at the shipyard. He's like, hey, our deal's done. This is getting a little crazy for me. I don't want you coming back. I don't want you using this ship ever again. And so then, yeah, and basically it shows one little quick flashback of Andor as a kid, and he's kind of leaving his sister behind. And that's it. Episode 1, done. Boom. That's all it's called. Episode 1, done. So it kind of ends abruptly, which is fine. Then we kind of go to episode 2, and yeah, it's just it's kind of cool. It's trying to think. The official description here for episode 2 is Cassian attempts to lay low on Ferrex as agents of the law close in. What? Oh my gosh. This is directed by Toby E. Haynes and written by Gilroy. And yeah, so there you go. Wikipedia calls this That Would Be Me. And I guess the previous episode is called Casa. Now again, those titles are not on, I don't think those are on Disney Plus at all, but hey man, Wikipedia, here we go, Yeah, it's interesting too, because like a lot of these do bleed a little bit. So what we have here is, again, Cassian trying to get everything together as far as like trying to lay low and also trying to figure out what he's going to do and get out of this situation, you know. But it's Surreal kind of is essentially getting more information about Cassian. We finally get an update on Cassian, and they get like a old hollow of him, which is kind of interesting. And he brings in another guy, the Scottish guy, who's like, hey, there's we gotta use this sword, and we keep it sharp and keep these rebels at bay. And he's like, that's what we gotta do. And so it's kind of interesting. We're kind of outside of the Empire just quite yet. There's no stormtroopers, that kind of thing. It's not the big leagues. We're just like in kind of a mid-rim system. So at this point, it's not true Empire. Not to say that Empire is not big. I just don't think it's on every planet at this point. Uh, but we get a couple flashbacks here of Cassian again as a child, and we realize if you look at the crash ship, the scientists kind of have these gas masks. There's some stuff oozing out, um, and yeah, we get they have what can I say? They have the CIS, the Confederacy kind of symbol on them. So what that means is that it seems like they're attacked by the Republic, which is interesting because it's technically the Empire at this point. But yeah, so the downship, and again in the trailer we see a Star Destroyer fly low. We don't see this in 2 and 3, but there's definitely an impression that something's happening here. Cassian goes back to like his house, if you will, and there's an older lady. We see her in the trailer. We get to see Cassian's room with a bantha. Yes, ride it like a bantha, which is kind of cool. We got that, which is it's pretty much the Power of the Force 2 bantha, which I'm totally in love with. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Um, and basically we get Cassian trying to find out a little bit more information. We have Brix helping Cassian out by sending a message, obviously, to her contact, which is Skarsgård's character, which is great. Um, that's in the shot where she's kind of walking up this little tunnel. That's kind of hidden. She does all these errands. Her boyfriend Tim is a little suspicious, tries to tail her, bumps into some dude, and we can't get him, can't get to her and stuff like that. But she's always kind of sneaking off. And then Cassian kind of finds her at a bar, and they have this moment like, hey, I'm really in trouble. And when that happens, a little before that, Tim sends a little message and puts out like, hey, he's on Ferrex here. And that's where they get the lead. They pull him up, and it all kind of comes together. And like, we're making a trip to Ferrex. And so Tim rats out Cassian. But Brix, they have this moment because they both know that something it came out, which kind of complicates things. But then she tells him like, hey, the informant is coming, like tomorrow. He's going to be here. You're like, okay, here it comes. So a lot of things are happening there. And then we have Brix going back to Tim and hanging out with Tim. Little kissy smoochy which was so we have that little part there, and they bring in Calf. So Calf is it's been mentioned in Legends for years, and I'm trying to think where else it's mentioned. It might be in the books. I believe it's John Jackson Miller's book, New Dawn. that calf is mentioned, but it's never been mentioned on live TV or movies or anything like that. So calf has officially become the coffee of Star Wars. So there you go. But yeah, that's been used a lot in Legends, which is fantastic. What else do we have? A little bit more flashback, and again, like I, it kind of blurs together because obviously they all kind of, but you know, there's a little bit more flashback with Cassian, and you understand the relationship um, with the grandma girl. I think that's in 3. Now that I'm thinking about it. So anyways, you got these blow darts. They jump on the thing. The leader girl gets shot in the back. Cassian decides to man up and basically go in the spaceship, and it's kind of still all all thing, all kind of blown up. But he goes in a central kind of area, and it's all kind of new to him. He sees his face, I believe, for the first time, like in a mirror. That's him. He doesn't realize what he looks like. Possibly, I mean, obviously, you might see his reflection in the water, but it's a little bit clearer in this thing, and he just gets mad and starts smashing things. So I think we see that part in 2, because in 3, the flashback picks up with grandma and another person and B2EMO coming to the rescue, and they're stealing stuff, and she basically tranquilizes him, puts him out, whatever, because she says that the Republic is coming, therefore she wants him out of there, so he would be dead any other way. So there's a separation of sister there that basically they leave out of, and it's cool. This is at the end of 3. We get the flashback and future Cassian at the same time, or present Cassian at the same time, as they go to hyperspace, and that is super cool. I love how they filmed that, and it was really well done. Uh, but backing up a little bit, so the informant shows up, heat's on, corporate sector's coming through, and we find out Ferrex is kind of like a strip yard, like a blue collar. They're stripping ships of stuff. We've seen this in Jedi Fallen Order, and now we get to see this a little bit more in Cassian, or at Andor on Ferrex. And can I just talk about the wall of gloves? Oh my gosh, the wall of gloves. And it kind of makes me laugh because, he said my gloves when he shot that, shot the stormtroopers in Rogue One. It's like one of my favorite lines. It's such a goofy thing. But yes, my gloves. There's just this whole wall of gloves that they use for stripping, but they put them back at night. And I don't know why. I love it, but it's awesome. And if you notice, there's a couple pegs where the gloves are missing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, maybe that's Cassian's. I don't know. I just love it. That's one big cool little thing. Um, then we have the meet up of the informant and Cassian. And at the same time, this is now where corporate, they call them blues, but basically corporate security's coming down. Our little surreal guy makes a speech. It's not very well received by his soldiers, but Scottish guy's like, hey, it was the best, man. Great speech, great speech. But basically, they're trying to find Cassian, and they go to Grandma's house. They go to Grandma's house, knock everything down, and search. And B2 obviously has a comm with Cassian, similar to what we see with like R2 and Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. But basically, we have them talking to each other, and that gives out his location. We have the meeting with the informant. I forget his character's name. It's so bad, but this is what we saw in the preview at IMAX. So we got to see this scene play out, and then this is also the clip they showed, like a small little clip that they showed online as well. This is basically seen with these kind of huge things chained to each other. I think they're axles, but whatever they are, it's a great scene. And they barely escape. They leave the device there. And really, the informant wants to know how Cassian got this. And that's where we get the line from the trailer. They're so proud of themselves. You just walk in and, all that stuff, So it's very cool seeing they get out of that, and now they're trying to get away. They have this thing we saw in the trailer where it's this guy with the hammers, and he does like, hey, it's working time or it's closing time. And that kind of plays into chapter 3 here, episode 3. As the blues show up, most of the common folk are using these kind of wind chimes to help warn people that this is happening, which is great. But when Cassian's in this firefight in um, in this thing with the informant, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we have another Dark Forces reference, which kind of blows my mind, but it's the Briar pistol, which is the K16 Briar pistol is a sidearm that Cassian Andor uses in this firefight, and I almost lost my mind. It's great. Uh, it's as close enough as you can get to the real deal, and I think it's the real deal. I believe they also showed this in Battlefront in 2016, but it hasn't been seen in a little bit, if you know what I mean. And just to see it in live action is like another chef's kiss. But yeah, the K16 Briar pistol, man, is just ridiculous. That's a cool Easter egg. There's a lot of little Easter eggs. When the informant is coming into town in the kind of space trolley, we got some Aki Aki from Pasana in the back. We got a couple Force Awakens. We got the steel birds that are pecking at the steel. We got that. We got the species that is also in Nema Outpost where he's kind of dragging this big thing. He's in the crowd there. We got a Lug of Beast. There's a couple of nice little sequel things. And then a couple things that I like is that they don't overemphasize like showing every alien or droid. There's a couple droids that we just see a side profile, or Tim's like talking to somebody at the counter, and we never see the front of him. I think it's just they're just like, hey, this is happening. There's people that talk to aliens and stuff all the time. You don't need to see everybody, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to think. We got the Wabani one. We got the BBY thing, which is great. We got the pistol, calf. Um, yeah, those are some really cool kind of Easter egg stuff. If you've got any Easter eggs, again, I just watched it once. If you got any Easter eggs, we would love to hear from it. Do it at Big T Little T Podcast at gmail.com. Drop those Easter eggs and let us know, man. We'll read a couple on the episode. Try to give us the time mark too. That'd be great. And what episode they are. If you got any cool Easter eggs. But yeah, the Briar pistol was a big one for me. I'm like, what? This is amazing. But basically, like I said, it ends with Cassian they're getting out of this Ferrix thing with the informant, and he's kind of moving to this next phase of like trying to fight the Empire in a different way, which I'm super excited to see. I think next week will be Mon Mothma. I think, again, if we look at all the trailers that we did see, even with Mando, both for season 1 and season 2, everything we saw in the trailers happened in the first 4 episodes. Everything else is brand new. So I'm thinking all the Mon Mothma shots that we got to see in the trailers, it's all coming down here in chapter 4, season 4, or not season 4, episode 4, or whatever. So there you have it. Overall, I really enjoyed this. I love how they just kind of jump in. You understand that the lies that Cassian does, it's weighing on him, but he also is a very good person. He's just trying to find his sister. There's definitely a sense of loss there and just trying to find some family and all that. But I really liked how big it was. I liked just the relationships. I loved all the retro computer terminals that are right straight up from the 70s. It just had all those great vibes of Star Wars without being too Star Warsy. And like I said, the briar pistol, the wall of gloves, there's just like those little things that are just so cool in Star Wars. And our Corellian hounds, little dogs with rubber masks. I just love it. Love it all. So yeah, it was great. I'm super excited for this season. Super excited they got me new content, and just equally excited that we got all this great stuff coming next couple weeks, man. It's awesome. Okay, so we're going to continue our series of what is happening when. So this is episode 117. So we're going to look at 2017. What the heck has happened in 2017? Let's find out. We're going to Wikipedia. Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess the biggest thing in 2017 is that it's the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. What? That happened? What is happening there? But yeah, let's just check out a couple months and see what's happening. Let's see. Okay. Oh, we just covered this in WSTR. Saw Gerrera, Ghost of Geonosis airs in January. That's in the Rebels with Saw Gerrera. Great episode with Click Clack, and the thing that you find out in that episode, which is so Empire, is that they obliterated the Geonosians, and Click Clack is left with one egg left, which is crazy because if you read the novelization of Catalyst, you find out that the Geonosians, not only do we have like Pago the Lesser or whatever giving Count Dooku the plans, but the Geonosians were also, because they were hive mind, they were really good workers, and they helped build the Death Star, and they wanted to keep it quiet, and so the Emperor killed them all. It's crazy. But anyways, Ghost of happens there. Let's see what we got here. Anything else that happens? So we got that going on. Bloodlines from Claudia Gray is published. The paperback is published on January 31st. Bloodlines is great. Essentially, what that is Princess Leia, people finding out that Darth Vader is Princess Leia's father, and yeah, not good things happen there basically, and she has to find a kind of a new way of providing for the family because she is no longer a senator. They kind of kick her out and that kind of thing. It's really well written. I really like Claudia Gray. It's awesome. Aftermath, Empire's End is published. Aftermath is hit or miss. Chuck Wendig's books. There's a trilogy. One of the greatest things that Chuck Wendig did was mention Boba Fett, which is in the Marshall. That is all in the Chuck Wendig books. And Mr. Bones, the one of the coolest kind of creations, basically a repurposed battle droid called Mr. Bones that likes to murder and have fun and be a protector of, gosh, I'm forgetting his nickname, Snap Wexley. Yeah, which is he's featured in he's featured in the Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens, all that fun stuff. Oh, guess what? Dr. Aphra is published too in January, the third and fourth. Yeah, so Dr. Aphra comic is amazing. March, the fourth season of Star Wars Rebels is officially announced. Hooray! Awesome. The Nintendo Switch is launched in March. Whoa, that's pretty awesome. Cool. Rogue One Star Wars Story Digital HD. Nice. Okay. That's cool. Okay, we got all the stuff. Great. Ooh, Thrawn published. I wonder if that's a comic or the book. That happens in April. Okay. But May, we have the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. Now, fun fact, that was my first trip to Disney World. It was the bucket list. It was the cream of the crop. I wanted to go to be in Disney World on the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, and we made it happen on May 25th. And so Trent was 2, Ellie was very young, 1, maybe 2.5, 1, 2.5 and 1. Yeah. So we did it. We went there. Mother-in-law went with us, and we had the most amazing time at Disney World and got to celebrate. Got to go to Hollywood Studios at night and celebrate the 40 fireworks with the Star Wars show, and it was emotional. It was great. It was a really fun time. We haven't been back since, but we need to get back there. But it was such a great time to be at, Star Wars, basically Hollywood, Hollywood Studios, and got to check everything out. And it was just cool. It was amazing. Um, yeah, and Galaxy's Edge wasn't built then, but, you know, it was still cool. So yeah, 40th anniversary, kind of a big deal there. Trying to see what else is published here. Wow, Darth Vader was published. The first Darth Vader book. Yeah, this is some good stuff. The Darth Vader run is very, really good. It happened in 2017, and we got Afra going on. Oh my gosh, Marvel is just kicking some tails. Trying to see what else is happening here. Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad is published in July. Okay, so Battlefront, if you can't remember, that's okay. I'll give you a little history. Battlefront, the first one comes out, looks amazing, but no story. Multiplayer is very limited, but it's pretty awesome because it's Star Wars. Great. Battlefront 2, they promise, hey, we got Iden Versio. She's the bad guy, and you get to play a bad guy in the story. And I was like, oh my gosh, we haven't seen this since like TIE Fighter on the PC, where you get to be the bad guy. Looking forward to it. She makes a switch. She's a good guy. What the heck? So most of the time you're being as a good guy and not a bad guy. Kind of a swerve. And honestly, kind of a waste of characters that they do in there that are featured in the books, but not featured in The Rise of Skywalker. Don't get me started. Ugh. But yeah, Iden Versio, cool character, really like her. But yeah, the swerve was just a little much. But here's the real big thing about Battlefront 2. Right before they launched, they were doing kind of microtransactions. And so all the hero characters were not unlockable unless you played a couple hours or whatever. And so people did the math, and basically it was like, I have to play like 40 hours of video game to get Darth Vader unlocked, and like I'm not playing it. So all the pre-orders came back. They were canceling everything. It like got this huge swirl on Reddit, and everyone was just like poo-pooing it. And basically Bob Iger on the last minute right before it got launched was basically, you got to get rid of these microtransactions like the day before this thing launches. It got that big of a swirl, and it's just like, woof. So that happened, and so it came out in mixed reviews, and it was one of those things too, again, the power of the internet. No one played the game. I mean, there was limited time, but no one really played the game. They were just in a huff about the microtransactions, and basically EA had to ditch it at the last second to make that happen. That was a big thing. Let's see what else. Oh, From a Certain Point of View is published in October. Great book. If you're into that stuff, short stories that are canonical and tie into stuff, yeah, goofy, weird, awesome stuff, all of that. And that was kind of to also celebrate the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. That's pretty cool. Yeah, December, last one, December 15th, Last Jedi. So everything was great. We were in a Star Wars nirvana, but I tell you what, after Last Jedi, man, it was rough on the internet. It was rough. You're in social media, in a podcasting. Uh, yeah, it was really, really rough. Um, yeah, that's like an understatement. And you know, on my other podcast, WSTR, we basically our our group chat was essentially what was happening on Star Wars in Star Wars verse basically, and Aaron and I enjoyed the film. Rutch and Armand didn't, and it just basically became this like divide. And I was like, um, yeah, it was just a weird time in Star Wars. Um, yeah, and we haven't been the same since. I mean, Mando's the only thing that brought us back together, I think. But anyways, that's 2017. Uh, yeah, we could spend a whole lot of time on Last Jedi, but we won't. Okay, there you go. Episode 117. Thank you, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses for listening to another episode of Big T and Little T Star Wars Podcast. Hey, you can find us on the socials, Big T, Little T Podcast, Instagram, BLILT Podcast on Twitter, twitch.tv/Big T Little T. Please follow us on all the socials and the Twitters and the Facebook. Well, not on Facebook, but YouTube, all the stuff. Hey, we got stickers, we got some swag, we got some pins, man. We want to hear from you. So comment, rate, tweet us on Apple Podcasts, or go on the Spotify, give us a 5-star rating, send us a screenshot, and we will read the review on the next upcoming episode. Or if you got a question, hey, tell us your favorite part of Andor. Give us your Andor thing at Big T Little T Podcast at gmail.com. Let us know what your favorite thing is. Trent's was episode 3. He really liked the firefight and loved the swerve at the end, basically with the exploding car that was kind of from Solo, and them getting off a speeder bike chase. He really liked that whole kind of last little bit of the show, and I would have to agree, it was really, really strong. Hey, next week, episode 4, Andor. Yes, that's right. We are going to be reviewing every week. Hope to get a couple guests on as well. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Now, truly remember wait, no, I messed that all up. Here, let me start again. Here we go. Truly wonderful the mind of the child is, and may the force be with you always. Bye, 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 bye. We'll see you later. Have a great week of watching Andor, and keep on watching those 3 episodes. So when we get back to it, it's going to be lit for episode 4. We'll see you next week. Bye.